How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to talk about something that I did not expect in the oil energy sphere. And if you have not invested in oil or energy in the last 5 years, you probably have missed out on tremendous gains. So what's crazy is that Saudi Arabia's energy minister, which is the Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, this guy says that the US is manipulating oil prices. Yes, you heard that correctly. Saudi Arabia, okay, which of course handles a lot of OPEC, they are accusing or kind of insinuating that US is manipulating oil prices. And this of course is on a global scale. So it's ridiculous. The energy minister says petroleum reserves are supposed to be meant for emergencies. Now, the Saudi Arabian energy minister, this Prince bin Salman, has criticized nations for tapping their emergency oil stockpiles. Okay, and he claims that this is in order to manipulate prices, basically to artificially lower them, whether it's domestically, and he's kind of saying that they would artificially lower the prices internationally, and warned of consequences if these emergency reserves run dry, like, of course, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve here in the United States. So it's pretty crazy for Saudi Arabia to be saying that. And this is a quote here: "It is my profound duty to make clear to the world that losing emergency stocks may be painful in the months to come." That's Saudi. This is what he told a Future Initiative Investment Conference in Riyadh on Tuesday. So he noted that the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve was not intended to relieve price pressures, as of course we know now that given Saudi Arabia put out that statement saying that the White House requested that they delay OPEC cuts another month, of course, because of the coming November elections. So Saudi Arabia is just saying, don't use Strategic Petroleum Reserve to do this, because if you run dry, guess what? You're out. You're really out of luck. And then what happens? The price just skyrockets. All of this comes just as the White House and the president announced the sale of another 14 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve that is obviously really running on steam at this point, because it's so low. The supply is so low. Check out this chart. According to Bloomberg, it is extremely low. Supposedly roughly a month left, 22, 24 days or so. So the White House announced this sale of another 14 million barrels, but this is following the release of 180 million barrels of oil since April from the Strategic Reserve. Okay, so it is a lot of oil that has been depleted in a very quick amount of time. So of course that was last week where they announced this additional crude from the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, to keep a lid on America's gas and energy prices. And they basically said they would replenish the reserves later on, whatever that means, right? This historic use of emergency stocks has worried investors around the world. Hence, Saudi Arabia is speaking out against this practice, because they're saying that excessive volumes of oil could flood the market, okay, and then put it under pressure, put the prices under pressure. And this can be scary for oil investors around the world. So the White House has reportedly indicated that further tapping of the strategic reserves could be linked, unsurprisingly, to the recent decision of OPEC to cut oil production. Boom. No brainer, obviously. OPEC announced that countries comprising the group will cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day starting in November. And that is a big problem for the White House, obviously, with the election coming up in November. The cuts will be distributed based on quotas under the OPEC Plus deal as of August this year. The curtailing of output is aimed at stabilizing the global oil market ahead of the seasonal drop in demand and amid fears of a global recession. And this is all, of course, during the energy crisis that the West is experiencing, in Europe, of course, with Russia, Ukraine, war, and the sanctions. Big, big problem. Now, the Saudi Arabia energy minister, Prince bin Salman, what's crazy is this guy is ballsy sometimes. He refused to take questions from a Reuters correspondent, a journalist, on Wednesday. This has to do with OPEC, stating that the news agency had relied on anonymous sources instead of official spokesperson, okay? In quotes, the prince said, "You've got it wrong twice, and you'll get it wrong the third time."
I have to talk to you about, so you have got it wrong.
Okay.
And you have got it wrong twice.
Before I ask a question,
and you will get it the third time if you did, as Reuters did not do a proper job. You talked about Russia doing this and that, and actually the day that your story came out, no one from Russia talked to me, nor I talked to anybody from Russia. But if you have questions, direct it to others, but not me. I'm not talking to Reuters until you respect the source, which is the energy minister on behalf of the Saudi government.
So what was Saudi Arabia's issue with Reuters? Well, according to the energy minister, Prince Salman says that an article published by Reuters, they claimed that Saudi Arabia was gearing up, was basically working with Russia to cooperate on reaching a target of $100 per barrel of oil. And this is where Prince Salman shot it down. Prince Salman even saying, "You as Reuters did not do a proper job." This guy went even as far as saying, "I'm not talking to Reuters until you respect the source," which is the energy minister himself on behalf of the Saudi government. Did point out that Saudi Arabia remained the world's most reliable oil supplier, and obviously for the West, and had increased its sales to Europe to about 950,000 barrels in September. Okay, and this is from 500,000 barrels the same time a year ago. So it doubled its output to Europe to help them out because of the Russia problem that they're experiencing there. So what's happening here with the Saudi Arabian relationship with the United States? It's a very problematic relationship at the moment because, as I pointed out in a previous video, they have actually started to seriously make some deals with China, even at these economic energy conferences that are happening. They're talking to China. China is the world's largest crude importer, and Saudi Arabia is the world's largest exporter. And this is extremely dangerous to that concept of de-dollarization that I've talked many, many times about before. Even Reuters saying that Prince Salman and his Chinese counterpart agreed to continue cooperation efforts to maintain stability in oil markets. What's crazy is that they said the kingdom continues to be China's most reliable partner and, of course, supplier of crude oil. So Saudi Arabia is shopping around. You got the yuan threatening the dollar. You got sanctions on Russia, so Russia can't, they're having issues getting their energy products to Europe. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, we don't know. What we do know is that a lot of people are pissing off the Saudis, and they're starting to make deals behind the scenes with Russia, with China, with the BRIC countries. So this is a very, very sensitive and touchy time. Now, is it time to invest more in oil? Maybe. Not financial advice. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. Smash a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Maybach.